Hello and welcome, friends. This is Amitabh Kumar Kundu. Today I will present a qualitative techniques to measure the progress of the project, and it would be a very detailed way up to have the detailed information about why those changes happened and how those changes happened. So you can know also the process why and how the change happened in your project interventions. So in quantitative way, we often know that it is insufficient to have the detailed information of changes because we don't have the detailed information through quantitative numbers. But in qualitative techniques, there is a scope to have the detailed discussion about the changes, process of the changes, and so on other things. So today, I will discuss one of the most important techniques of qualitative measurement that called most significant change. So today I will discuss about the most significant change, and I will also discuss about the detailed process of how we can implement the most significant change and how we can get the benefit from the most significant change. So let's discuss detail about in my next slides. Thank you.
The most significant change tool is a qualitative techniques participatory monitoring evaluation technique. Rick Davies and Jess Dart developed a participatory form of monitoring and evaluation, the most significant change MSc in Bangladesh in 1990s. It provides a way to measure intangible qualitative indicators like empowerment or confidence through the systematic data collection and analysis of stories provided by program participant and stakeholders. The most significant change tool is a qualitative participatory monitoring and evaluation technique. If we decided to use the MSc methodology, the starting question would not be how many people have benefited by the end of the project, but rather how have the lives of those changed who have received the services. In other words, what has been the most significant change that person's life after engagement with the project interventions. So here we not only reviewing the number or taking the number, we also taking the process so that we can accommodate those changes in our further intervention so that project can achieve the desired outcome. In the picture, you can see the two separate ideas. First is for the change of the management system and another is for project management system. So if we can analyze about the left side story, it will present a situation where someone guiding from the analysis of the field experience and where program are taking data driven decision. It helps to generate the ideas. But for the another stories, we have only that situation where we are first implementing the projects and then we are seeing we are observing the situation and then we analyze the data and then we take decision. So comparing those stories, we can have this kind of situation that if we can take the analysis from the beginning of our project intervention, it will take us such a guidance that will support us to take data-driven decision, and it can provide much more impactful intervention for our targeted project participant. So there will be a question how MSc can support to us to measure the progress of the project where there will be some critical situation where we can unable to measure the changes through the quantitative factors. So first of all, we can say that intangible goals such as empowerment, leadership skill and confidence are difficult to measure with normal quantitative monitoring tools. So here the MSc can help us very much because it provides us the detailed process and detail of changes. Another thing is this is particularly true in social change programs where improvement in attitudes, behavior, beliefs and takes place over a long time of period. So it takes some time to measure those changes and it can unable to measure through only the quantitative numbers. And another part, unfortunately, some development programs are focused with the safeguarding measure long-term impact. So those areas we unable to measure those changes through quantitative data only. So in those cases, most significant change can help us very various types of ways. So here we quickly pointed out some key features of the most significant change. First of all, MSC involves the collection and selection of stories of changes developed by program or project stakeholders. It is a participatory technique which relies on the engaging stakeholder in a process of discussing, analyzing, and recording changes. So here would be some analyzing of data so that we can and recording so that we can document those changes. MSC can use in process and programs where it is not possible to precisely predict desired change beforehand. That means we unable to predict the change beforehand the activity completed, and it is therefore difficult to set predefined indicator of changes. Like each of the project design we set indicator to see what type of change will happen after the intervention, but sometimes it will be difficult to measure the prediction. So here MSC can help us. And another way MSC was developed partially to overcome the perceived weakness of more conventional monitoring and evaluation process. Like we are conducting some monitoring evaluation to measure the progress of the changing, and this is the conventional work, but sometimes it is very much difficult to get the information of changes through regular monitoring evaluation. So here MSC can support us. So MSC is normally used in ongoing monitoring techniques assessing change throughout the lifetime of the program project. However, this is focused on change outcome. That means it can easily adapt it to use evaluation as well. That means though it can use in monitoring to see the regular change, but where the evaluation system is not set, then it can be also we can use the MSC as an alternative way to measure the changes in our outcome level. So those are the ways where MSC can support us. So in order to establish the most significant change and implement the most significant change, we need to weigh out the 5 steps where we can through which we can implement the most significant change. So first is define the domain. So when we are thinking to establish or implement the most significant change, then first of all we need to define the domain, and here we can also select our stakeholders. And to define the domain, we need to focus on 3 areas, like changes in the quality of people's lives, changes in the organizational culture, and changes in the ways of our beneficiaries interact with each other. So this is the first step. In next step, we need to define how and when to collect stories, because the stories will be the very important part to analyze the data. So that's why we need to importantly think about the collecting and collecting up the stories and how those story will be collected. And we can think about a template like title of the story, information on who was involved and when the change took place, information on what change took place, why is the story being significant, and any lesson learned recommendation for the wider program. So this is the second step. In third step, collect significant change of stories. So when we define the process of collecting stories and timeline for collecting the stories, we already have this place. And the next step is we need to collect the stories by maintaining the process we already defined in the last step. Then we need to collect the most significant stories as per our plan through our project staff and other colleagues. After completion of the collection of significant stories, we need to analyze the stories and select the most significant change. For example, it might be useful to visit, and sometimes we need to also revisit the place because there might be some verification of data to understand what is the process of data collection, what are the changes happen in the beneficiary level or organizational level. So to define the most significant stories, we need to analyze the data and sometimes verify those data, and sometimes we need to also revisit the places. For example, it might be useful to visit the places where describe the event took place so that we can know the detail of the data. In some cases, it might also be useful to gather further information to close gaps the stories and provide better explanation of the change recorded. Clearly, If those stories do not pass the verification test, then they are rejected and other stories included instead of that story. So that is very important. And last step of implementing the most significant is verifying the stories. An essential part of most significant verification of stories whatever possible. This is important, and otherwise stories might not be selected that are untrue, misleading, or open to different interpretations. So ideally all stories should be checked for accuracy before using or process on the next level hierarchy. This often involves taking different stakeholders to find out their views of the change stories. So through this process we can implement the or we can collect the most significant change from our project intervention to measure the progress of our interventions. So here there is a technique showing how we can analyze the information that collected from the most significant change and how we can finalize those information through a consultation meeting within our teammates group work. And this is the process that is very much effective, where we can make the necessary justification that how our project intervention contributing for those changing and how those changes are contributing to achieve our project outcome. So that could be a very good process to measuring the progress of the project through most significant change and relate those changes to the outcome and make some justification how our intervention contributing to reach the project outcome. So here we quickly discuss about some strength and weakness of the most significant change. So first of all, MSC can be used to monitor and evaluate the project and program that don't have predefined outcomes and cannot therefore be monitoring evaluate using predefined indicators. MSc is a participatory technique that helps to identify changes in people's lives from their own perspective. MSc encourages analysis as well as data collection. MSc requires no special professional skill to develop an administrator, because anyone who are collecting the information from the field, if he or she are aware about project intervention, can collect the stories for most significant changes. And another way, what are the weakness of the most significant change? We can say that there are MSc is designed to access information on predicted quantitative and indicators. It is not designed for that. MSc is not designed to provide comprehensive information. On MSc required considerable resource and requires different set of stakeholders. MSc is not always good to crossing the information in negative changes. As with any tools methodology, there is a few potential bias, and those bias can sometimes influence the most significant change stories. So here are some positive and negative things about the most significant change we can think, but overall the most significant change can provide us the detailed information, which is very much helpful for the project intervention, and it will support us to take data-driven decision because it provides the detailed information with the detail of the process. So that's all. Hopefully this content will useful to you for implementing the most significant change in your project. If you want to know detail about the most significant change, please search in my description box. I will provide the full presentation so that you can understand the full process and you can study further to implement the most significant change for your project. So thank you all for watching my videos.